Alright, before we begin, I have to explain a few things. I said in my other video that the Nazis were teamed up with the Russians and the Chinese. In my zeal, I would say that current day feelings were changing my memory of history. To be fair enough, the Russians were with us. They were against the Nazis, and I believe China was too. Japan was with the Nazis, and somebody else, I don't remember. So yeah, I've got so many countries whirling around in my head right now. I can't grab out the third one of the axis of evil, but nevertheless, I have to say that. And somebody else brought up that there were reports of things going on in Germany with Jewish people, and that Americans just didn't care. Right? Somebody said, we knew what was going on over there, and Americans just didn't care. We were just apathetic to it. Now look, we knew that they were rounding up Jews and putting them in camps. That's what we knew. We didn't know that they were rounding up all the Jews and putting them into death camps where they were killing them. That we didn't fucking know. We didn't know that they were doing human experimentation, shit like that. All that shit we didn't fucking know. Had we known that, I think things would have gone a little bit different. We might have insinuated ourselves into that as opposed to being invited. Right? So the person that made it out that, oh, we knew that Hitler was killing all those Jewish people, we just didn't care. You're kind of an ass. I'm sorry, you're kind of an ass. You're off base with such a distinction that you're kind of an ass. Like, if that's what you're saying, you're kind of an ass. We didn't know that was going on. We knew people were getting rounded up. We knew it was fucked up. We didn't know it was that fucked up. That's pretty fucked up. That's beyond fucked up. I think America back then would have probably had something to say with the wholesale slaughter of people. Come on, give us a little bit of credit. Yeah, we probably knew that there was fucking people being rounded up and put into camps, and we were like, well, it happens in war. People get fucking tired, singled out. Well, we put fucking people in camps around the same time. So, and that wasn't good either. It's not like it's a justifier of it, but it happened. The difference is we didn't kill them after we got them into the camps. We didn't torture them. We didn't gas chamber them. We didn't cook them in groups. We didn't do any of that. We held them just to make sure. It was still wrong. It was still something that was fucking wrong. And yeah, well, it was probably legal back then. Doesn't make it right. There's a lot of shit that's legal that's fucking not right. But we did that. We did the same thing. We heard they were putting people in camps. Later on, we put people in camps. The difference was they were killing people in those camps. We were holding people in those camps. So we hear about camps thinking holding. They were thinking camps, kill them. That's a huge fucking distinction, dude. You can't say, we knew what was going on, we just didn't care. You can't say it like that. Because that means that you're saying we didn't care about genocide. Huh? Yeah, we've always cared about that. We might have maybe not always done something about it, because even though we are the world police, we don't actually have the world as our jurisdiction. So, you know, we can't always do fucking something about everything that's going on. Hearing a lot of shit that's fucked up out of South Africa. Nobody's asking for our help. And we're not going to just start bombing the place. The South Africans got to deal with that. I've said this before many times, and I think our current situation holds up true. Now, it's fucked up to say in our current situation, but nevertheless, you can't just hand people freedom. You can't just go, hey, here's freedom, enjoy. Because they have no respect for it. They don't give a shit. It has to be earned. Some would say it was earned. I'm looking around going, I don't get it then. Nevertheless. So, yeah. I had to throw that in there in the beginning. Just to make up for, to answer the one thought, and to address the thing that I did fuck up. What do you want from me?
The streets are extended gutters, and the gutters are full of blood. And when the drains finally scab over, all the vermin will drown. The accumulated filth of all their sex and murder will foam up around their waists. And all the whores and politicians will look up and shout, "Save us." And I'll whisper, "Mediocre."
So, this video has gone through an evolution today. I'll take you through the process. Yesterday, I was tooling around on YouTube, and I came across this video that was black conservatives debate black liberals, and the topic was, should black people get over slavery? And I was like, well, that sounds interesting. So I watch it, and it's this channel that I've watched before. They when I was doing the flat earth stuff, they had flat earthers versus scientists talking about flat earth. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I understand the format of what they do. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I like these people. They actually kind of get into shit. So I'm like, that. All right, let's fucking watch this. And the first guy comes out to introduce himself, and it's Anthony Brian Logan. And I'm like, ha, I've watched that dude before. I'm like, okay, so this is already, I'm kind of like, they got somebody who's a black conservative YouTuber. The guy's well educated on the subjects. He watches the news constantly. He knows what's going on. He's into this shit as much as if I am, as if not more. So I'm like, well, this should be interesting. And then they bring out some other lady, and then they bring out another dude. And it was 3 conservatives and 2 liberals. I don't know why they couldn't have evened it up. I don't know what happened there with the 3rd liberal, but whatever. That was the way it was set. And through the process of watching it, I kind of honed in on 2 things that I was kind of like, eh. So we say we want to have a discussion about things, to have a discussion. Understand the discussion might go in directions you don't appreciate. But nevertheless, I'm asking the question. Right? It's an honest question. One of the things was, the first thing that really struck me is one of the ladies said, we just want white people to acknowledge slavery. And I'm like, done. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? And I was like, getting amped up about it. Like, I was ready to really fucking go off. What the fuck does that even mean? Like, we all acknowledge slavery happened. I am not aware of slavery deniers. I don't think there's anybody out there saying slavery never fucking happened. Like, we all acknowledge slavery was a thing. Like, that existed. We know. Like, you got it. Done. Well, what's next? Like, what does that even fucking mean? We want white people to acknowledge slavery. What? Okay. Done. Like, what does that even mean? And I was going to freak out about it and all that stuff. And I decided, because my boss at work, it's funny, black dude, my boss, and he's into this shit. Like, he's, he's insightful. I wouldn't say that he's certainly not in the same vein as me. Like, we disagree a lot on things. And I wouldn't say that he's as boned up on the issues as, say, me or, like, Anthony Brian Logan. Like, he's more of the casual and, casually involved person. He likes to argue. Really what it is. He likes to argue. He's got his mindset about these issues. And so he's more than happy to talk with people about it. Right? But he doesn't know a lot of shit that's going on. Like, a lot of stuff I was like, did you hear about this? And he's like, so, he's not as boned up on it as he could be. But he's certainly willing to talk. So I asked him, I was like, what the fuck does that mean to you? I'm like, as a black guy in America, you know, involved in it as much as you are, I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? Acknowledge slavery. Okay, yes, we had slavery. It was bad. Like, what is there to acknowledge? And he's like, well, you know that there are people that are like, well, slavery wasn't bad back in that time because it was legal. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I've never fucking heard that before. And he's like, yeah, there are people that say that shit like online and stuff. And I'm like, well, who gives a shit about them? They're assholes, right? And he's like, well, yeah, they're assholes, but you know. And I'm like, but that, who gives a shit about them? They're assholes. And you know, that the conversation kind of went that direction. And I was thinking about it the rest of the day, and I actually, like, I think I might have found kind of the source of the problem, right? I think I might have actually figured out some headway on this one. This was like the one thing that I was the most fucking confused on, and I think I might have figured it all out. When the left comes out and says something ridiculous, like we should abolish the police, everybody on the right goes, abolish the police? That's fucking stupid. I'm going to ignore you now. And that's what they do. But everybody on the left goes, yeah, we should abolish the police. Right? It becomes the dogma of the left. Now, when some crazy on the right says something like, I don't know, just to pull something randomly out of the air, what's so special about 6 million Jews dying in World War II? A lot of people died in World War II. When somebody says something like that, you got somebody that goes, they were civilians, you moron! and you're just dumb. And I'm just going to ignore you now. Like that. You know what I mean? Like, I realize you're no longer worth talking to, so I'm going to pass you by. That's what we do. And everybody on the left goes, I can't believe everybody on the right would think that. Huh? Like, and then we hear it and we go, and don't think anything about it. And then months later, we hear about every conservative is anti-Semitic because they asked what's so special about 6 million Jews. And we all went, we didn't ask that. We laughed at the guy that asked that. And we ignore him now. What are you talking about? Like, and it takes people by surprise. And they go, who said that? You know what I mean? So, like, there you go. There's the disconnect. I looked at him and I said, yeah, but he's an asshole. Who gives a fuck what he said? And he goes, well, people are still saying it. And I'm like, so what? People say a lot of shit. Like, who fucking cares? Who gives a shit about random dude on the internet that said something dumb? Apparently, the left does. They see that and go, I can't believe that entire other side thinks that way. Because that's the way they think. Our entire side believes whatever the fuck anybody on our entire side says. Any one person on the left can change the entire dogma of the religion just by saying something. Right? You say it loud enough people see it, becomes viral, and then all of a sudden it becomes canon. This is what the left believes now. Right? All the statues got to come down. Because if there's any bad in your life at all, there shouldn't be statues erected to your memory. If you've done anything bad, fuck you. And everybody on the right goes, well, it's stupid. I'm just going to ignore you now because you're dumb. But everybody on the left goes, yeah, all the statues got to come down. What? Like, there's the disconnect. That's not the way the conservatives work. When crazy conservative people say shit like, we should go back to the days of slavery. Clearly, black people don't like being free. They just use it to commit crimes and do horrible things. People on the right, conservatives, other conservatives go, I'm going to ignore you now. You're stupid. It doesn't become our way of thinking. That's not the way it goes. It doesn't happen that way. We ignore those people because that's what you do with crazy, stupid people. You go, you'll learn someday. Someday you'll grow up. Because inevitably, that's what happens to most people. Everybody starts out young and stupid and ignorant, and they hear a bunch of shit, and then they believe a bunch of shit. And then they grow up. And they go, oh, okay. So yeah. Like that, there it is. That's the disconnect. We don't work the way you do. We don't pick up every random fucking crazy thought that comes our direction and run with it. We laugh at those people and ignore them. Because that's what they deserve. Figure it out, dummy. Then we'll talk. This is like... So, yeah, I think that's why black people don't believe that white people acknowledge slavery. Because they hear the lunatics and don't realize we're all laughing at them too. We're together on that. We all think those people are assholes. Because they're assholes. Case closed. Right? I think we've made good progress here. Moving on to the second thing, just so you can fuck it all up. The other thing that caught me was this lady said, as a descendant of slavery, blah, 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 blah. And my thought was, are you? Can you prove that? And it made me think of Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren said she was Native American. On what grounds did Elizabeth Warren say she was Native American? Grandma says so. Okay. So Grandma says we're Native American. So I'm Native American. And then we find out that actually, to be actually recognized as a Native American, like you have to be able to trace your lineage back to an actual Native American. You have to be able to do that. And then you have to propose that to the tribe. And then the tribal elders, the tribal council, whatever it is, they look at your evidence and they either say, this is fucking bullshit, we don't know. Or they say, lost brother, welcome to the family. And then you're recognized as legit. But apparently in America, just having black skin means that you're descendant of a slave. Huh? Like, honestly, I think that might be another thing that could actually, like, legit maybe calm a lot of this down. Maybe not. I don't know. I honestly don't know what it would be. Again, I'm asking the question. This is an honest question. This is not a gotcha moment. It could be 99% of black people in America are descendants of slaves. I don't know. Do you know? Does anybody know? Who fucking knows? It could be 10% of the population is actually descendant from slaves. At which point, that 10%, they have a gripe. And if the rest of the, everybody else decides, well, we want to lump in with that 10%, okay, just understand, you're not sympathetic, you're empathetic. Big difference. You're not a part of that. You're an ally of that. Right? So why isn't there, like, an organization that is led by and for actually legitimate descendants of slaves? And if you want to declare yourself as a part of that protected status or whatever, you have to go to them with a lineage and evidence and facts and proof. The truth. Not your truth. Not grandma's truth. The truth. And then they go, you trace yourself back to this dude? You're part of our group. Or, see, this is bullshit. No. Off with you. Right? Like, if we want to legitimately say that slavery is enough of an issue that we need to actually do some sort of something for descendants of slaves, shouldn't we know who those are? And I get it. I get that racism is against black people, not descendants of slaves. I get that. But again, that's not what I'm talking about. She said, as a descendant of a slave, and I immediately went, but are you? Like, do you know that? And I'm not trying, again, this is not a gotcha moment. This wasn't fuck you, are you even? No. Are you? Like, can you even legitimately make the statement as a descendant of slaves? Right? Like, if we're going to call this an issue, let's call it an issue. But let's make sure we're talking about the issue that we're talking about. And not just, but I'm black. If it's that's another thing entirely. Black people being discriminated against is totally different from descendants of slaves. Right? Like that, right? Right? Like, isn't it? Seems like that would be the thing to me. But everybody thinks they're descendants of slaves. So everybody's into this whole, I'm pissed off because of slavery thing. Well, okay. I understand that. I'm pissed off because of slavery too. Thank God we don't do that anymore. But nevertheless, at this point, 100 years later or whatever, after slavery's been done for a good long time now, if we're going to talk about slavery, let's talk about actual descendants of slaves. Because they're the people that matter. Everybody else is just jumping on the bandwagon. And we're just ignoring that fact. And like I said, I don't fucking know. It could be 99.9% of black people in this country are descendants of slaves. I haven't a clue. Let's figure that out. If we're going to actually make this an issue, if we're actually going to want to discuss it, let's know what we're talking about. Right? Like, that seems sensical to me. Doesn't it? Like, if we want to make descendants of slaves a protected class, like, or a thing that we recognize, like Holocaust survivors, if we want to make, that a thing, let's make it a thing. But everybody's just running around assuming that they're a descendant of a slave. I'm black. Of course I'm a descendant of a slave. Are you? Like, there's black people in more places than just Africa. So, are you? Like that? But, of course, I'm sure that's a racist question to even ask. But it's a legitimate question. Like, I'm not asking it to be an asshole. I'm asking it because you want to talk, right? So we're talking. Like, well, so yeah, if black people in the audience would like to comment on either of these things, hey, I'll be there. I'll answer. I'm happy to read your comments. White people in the audience want to comment on these things, hey, you might have a different perspective. But if we're gonna have the discussion, let's have the discussion. Perhaps there are topics or facets of this topic that other people would like me to delve into. Perhaps there's black people in the audience that are like, well, why don't you look into this? Hey, I want to hear about it. If we're gonna have the discussion, let's actually have the discussion. Fuck it, I don't want shit to end out in civil war. That's what's happening. And people are saying, we just want to have a discussion. Let's talk. I'm here.